Hi, it's Jessica. Welcome back to my channel. Yes, recording on the same day just because, I don't have time throughout the week, so this is the only day that I have to record. Today, I bring to you some scary stories as promised and my liquid courage so that we can get nice and freaked out. Don't worry, it's not going to be anything crazy. It's just some stories from Reddit. I picked out a few stories. I didn't really read through them all the way, just so that you guys can be just as entertained as possible. I know that what I did read though, I was like, you know what, same. Let me just get right down to it. I had a bit of wine already, as you saw through my intro video. I did have a bit of wine already. Feel free to get yourself a glass of wine, white or red. Mine personally is a Chardonnay from Sir Henry of Pelham. It's an Ontario wine. It's nice, delicious, very fruity. Whether it be tea or coffee, water, beer, whatever. I'm open to anything here on Spooky Easy. Just go grab something to sip, cozy up to your favorite chair. Mine is my lazy boy. Let's get right down to it. So I have here my trusty tablet. I have a few stories that I picked from Reddit. I like to scour through Reddit every once in a while just so that I have something fresh and spooky just to read on my spare time. This thread is Night Owls of Reddit. What is the creepiest thing that happened to you when everyone else was sleeping? Me personally, I have so many experiences of this. It's not even funny. As a kid, I experienced quite a bit. I only told a handful of people about it. I'll go into it a little bit more as we read along. So again, have your drink ready. Here we go. This story is from Pumpkin Eater 69. Whew. Here we go. When I was younger, I shared a bedroom with my older brother. I was in second grade, so I usually kept the door open to get light in because I was scared of the dark. Same, bruh, same. My brother would always close the door and refuse to open it because he was bigger and older. I couldn't do anything about it. Well, one night, I woke up to a pitch black bedroom. As my eyes started to adjust, I glanced over to my brother's bed across the room and noticed that he wasn't in it. Okay. As I looked across the room, there he was. He was standing right in front of the closed door, just standing still. Since it was really dark, all I could really see was his black figure, a silhouette of a little boy. I didn't move a muscle. My brother stood in his position motionless for 10 minutes until I dozed off into sleep. To this day, the thought of what he was doing and the look of his motionless dark figure still keeps me up at night. Maybe he was sleepwalking. I honestly would be really freaked out to see that, especially if it were somebody that I knew, if it was somebody that was close to me, that, was my source of comfort. I would personally just, keep an eye on him or her. You never know what the situation could be. Definitely try to pray for a better outcome because that is freaky. I cannot deal with that. So our next story comes from the user Jules Loves You 1993. Used to live with my ex in a house where something did not like me. I know that feeling. It got to the point where every single time I fell asleep downstairs where his room was, I had sleep paralysis. Worst feeling in the world. One time we were cuddling and he fell asleep before I did, and I started hearing growls and stuff. At this point, this was fairly commonplace, so I tried to just ignore it and fall asleep. When I did, I had a horrible nightmare that something was pulling me into the closet and beating me. Oh boy. I woke up to sleep paralysis and heard a deep, gravelly voice say, "Come here, sweetheart," from the closet. I stopped sleeping down there after several experiences of hearing things down there while I was sure I was awake too. But that was effing terrifying because I felt so helpless. Another time more recently, I was in Texas visiting my grandma and everyone was asleep. It was very early morning, like 4 a.m., before I was finally asleep. After seemingly just a few minutes, I woke up to my toddler saying, "No," really loudly and forcefully. Look over, he's still asleep. Look back to my right and there's a shadow of a man standing a few feet away from me. I couldn't see well because it was dark and there was clearly someone in the room. I got confused for a minute and said, "Dad?" Thinking maybe he came in for some reason, but then the figure didn't move or say anything, and I realized it wasn't him. I freaked out and reached out to turn on the extremely bright night light. When I turned back and it was gone, I effing hated sleeping there for the rest of the time. To make it even worse, I was telling my sister about it and she was like, "Oh yeah, I saw him the first night we were here." Like, what? Why did she say anything? Apparently she was reading in bed and turned over and he was standing over her bed. My family has always been sensitive to this stuff, and my sister most of all, so she didn't mention it until I told her about what I saw. I've kind of been on the fence for most of my life about these experiences, but that put a bullet through my head of me not believing in the supernatural anymore. I don't blame you. I've had similar experiences to sleep paralysis. For a long time, I was actually really afraid of sleep paralysis. Recently, I've been more, rational about it, but, all the same, there were some experiences where I could not explain, where I actually did see figures, like dark figures and things like that when I did have sleep paralysis. So I completely understand where this person is coming from. I do hope that he or she managed to find a way to stop experiencing those kinds of things, or maybe this entity, whatever it is, would go away by itself. That's really, really terrifying. I keep switching my hands, by the way. I don't know if you've noticed, because I have pretty weak hands anyway, so don't worry about it. It's my problem. This next story is from a user named Natty_Patty. It starts off with, "This isn't too scary, but it happened at 3 a.m. This is the witching hour. Anything and everything paranormal always happens at 3 a.m. I don't know if y'all noticed, but yes, that is the witching hour. I couldn't sleep. Usually I can't sleep, then I fall asleep in an hour, but I really couldn't sleep. It was 3 a.m. I fell asleep around 11, but woke up at 3. That night I heard clicking, like something clicking against plastic. I got really freaked, but then I remembered how my brother plays the Wii U and it makes a noise like that. I wondered what my brother was still doing on the Wii U, so I got up and went to see him, but he wasn't there. I looked in his room, he was asleep. The TV was off, the Wii U was off, and the gamepad was on the counter in the game room. I got spooked. I went back to my room and the clicking kept going. I tried ignoring it and slept for another hour, but then I woke up and it was really dark. The hall light was off and I didn't turn it off. I looked to the ledge outside my room and I saw a figure. Whew. Oh boy. It was standing on the ledge and trying to touch the ceiling. I put my glasses on it. It had a similar figure to my brother, who was asleep. He held his finger to his mouth and shushed me, probably telling me not to talk about it to our parents. I just took off my glasses off and fell asleep. Maybe this was a weird realistic dream, but it scared me. My brother remembered nothing and the clicking never came back. Weirdest night of my life. I had actually a similar dream to that of somebody that I knew. It was definitely a really terrifying dream. It felt very real. As I was mentioning before with the sleep paralysis, it was something similar to that, where I thought I saw somebody that I knew, but it wasn't them. It had a really creepy smile. It was trying to get me to come to it though. That's the difference in my sleep paralysis dream. Me personally, when it comes to dreams though, like I said, I've been less afraid of the sleep paralysis. I try not to be afraid, and that's the whole aim of the game, is do not be afraid. Surround yourself with positive energy. Remember what you believe in. And to me, I was raised Catholic in any case. When I think of any kind of positive energy, I believe in God. So I try to remember that God has me, he's got my back. So when I see something like that, somebody that I know is trying to communicate with me when I know it's not them, I try to remember that God is with me at all times, and just basically do not be afraid. That's the only thing that I would suggest to this natty patty, but it sounds like it hasn't happened again anyway, so I hope they're doing well for themselves. Whew, these stories are a little too scary. I need me a top up. Oh man. Now it's about right. Okay, so for the next story, just to let you know, you're not going crazy, I actually did change the devices. That tablet was really heavy. I have really weak wrists actually. It's just good enough to hold a phone and a glass of wine. So here we go. This next story is from Forest Cat Mum. I'm not sure quite how late this was, but I've been a night owl and insomniac since I was a child. I was up very late, probably 1 or 2 a.m., frenziedly reading Harry Potter number 4, GOF. It's a good one, yeah. I was absolutely hooked. I remember my bedside light was on, spilling warm light across the room, and the street outside was its usual quiet suburban self. Barely anyone used to drive along it past 9 p.m. All of a sudden, as I got to Cedric dying, I heard a long piercing scream from outside. I would have said spoiler alerts, but that book has been out for a really long time. If you haven't read it by now, you probably never will. I jumped a foot and accidentally chucked my book down, then sprinted downstairs to get my dad. Both parents had fallen asleep in front of the TV again, which was on very loud and neither had heard it. I even made my dad go outside to check what it was, but there wasn't anyone out there, much less someone hurt or in pain. Both parents thought I had dreamed it, but I absolutely assured them that I had not. I was wide awake and reading at breakneck pace. Sorry, I've been feeling the wine. To find out what would happen to Harry when I heard that scream. Hello, ADHD hyperfixation. I was the same. I would always read the books as soon as they came out, like the same night. It wasn't a fox. My back garden played host to them frequently, and I used to visit my gran and granddad in the south of the UK very often in their gorgeous rural house. It was a terrified human scream. I wonder a lot what it was. I'm inclined to think it was a frightened drunk, but I don't know where they'd have gone because my parents were straight and only has 2 turnoffs. I don't know what happened, but that noise was chilling. I've made a similar noise myself on waking up out of a nightmare. I've considered that possibly this person might have a dream, but then it's very, very specific that they remember clearly that they were reading that story. Myself personally, I live in Toronto, so there's a lot of crime that sometimes happens. Sometimes I've heard outside that there have been screaming, but it's hard to tell if it's like, you know, out of a joke or actually like a terrified scream or something like that. So my suggestion for this person would probably be just like, you know, at least to report it. Definitely tell somebody about it, like in law enforcement, just to let them know, like in case there's some situation going out there. That's my recommendation. But that part about being like a, you know, frightened drunk, I mean, you know, it's happened to me before. So that's it for all the stories for now. I'll definitely be researching more stories to come along. Like I said, I do definitely want to talk about my own experiences, my family's experience. I traveled all over the world. I used to work on a cruise ship. I lived in Japan at one point. I've been to England several times back and forth. I definitely do want to talk about all the things that I had experienced during that time. In the meantime, you know, click that like button, click the subscription button, click that notification bell, especially because every Friday, like I mentioned before, I'll be releasing a new video every single week. I just want to keep the masses entertained while we're staying at home or staying safe. If you want to be featured in an upcoming video, feel free to send your story to the email down below. I'll definitely be looking out for it. I can't wait to bring you more good content. Until then, ciao for now. I was in 2nd grade, so I usually kept the door open to get light in because I was scared of the drug. Okay. I just realized that my backdrop was completely off center in my last, few shots. I'm so sorry about that. I definitely will try to make sure that my future videos are better content than that. I'm so sorry about that. I think it's safe to say that I should probably stick to one video a week so I don't get so sloshed. My goodness.